I think what we really need to talk about more is what happens when we bump into people, when we see certain videos on YouTube or hear things or read things, that we just go, nah. I mean, we talked about this. We don't want to insult anybody. We don't want to criticize anybody. We didn't want to go there. But I think we need to go there.
I think we do, because if we always have stuff that we're presenting on this program as being this is good and this is good and this is good, that it can make us look terribly gullible if you guys at home don't actually see all the stuff we've rejected in order to bring you those pieces.
Right. You know, it's not that we're just watch somebody's YouTube channel and we're parroting their opinions.
Yeah.
You know, we both explored a lot of things. I remember when I first started, I mean, I did no social media at all, maybe just a little bit for professional reasons, although they took away my Twitter account and all that stuff, and I've always hated Facebook, so I quit doing that for a long time. But then I don't know how I found Jordan Sather of Destroying the Illusion, so I started watching him, and then he partnered up with the guy who goes by Anti-School. And I'm like, he thinks he's okay. And a couple other people, Jordan went on to that crazy guy. What's that show?
Jeremy
Corsi, his show, or Alex Jones or something. They went on that.
InfoWars.
There it is. Thank you. But whenever I watched Anti-School, as an example, I didn't like it. I just didn't like him. It was something about his voice, and I tried to analyze it. Was it because he has a lisp? Am I just picking that up and being super picky? And I didn't think so. And the same like watching Jeremy Corsi stuff. It was chaotic, and I left it feeling agitated, and the screen wasn't clear, and all these things. And I was just like, I mean, they may be saying all the right stuff supposedly, but I'm not going to watch them. I don't like the way that feels. And then
the feeling is the key, right?
Yeah. And then, every single one of those people who I said, I'm not going to watch. I don't like that feeling. I don't care if they're saying all the right stuff. I don't like it. Those were the ones who got exposed as being, a lot of them flipped on cue, which is, of course, means that they were
paid for
in the first place.
Yeah. And I wonder how many of them are out there that appear to be saying all the right things, so they pick up followers. And as you build trust amongst the audience, then you can start bending the story towards some other agenda, and they trust you and they'll follow you. Another example of that for me has been Benjamin Fulford. That came out. That's been going for quite a number of years, and he would say some things, and then it would, 80% of it would feel right, and then 20% of it is like, no, absolutely not. That's not right. Either he's got an incorrect source or he's making it up. It's what it felt like to me. Now, this is a personal opinion. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. But this is how the intuition kicks in, right?
Right. And that's what we've got to do, is be willing to come out here and say, this is our opinions. We got at it. However we got to it, we think it seems to be intuitively.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're having opinions.
We are having opinions, and some people won't like them. That's for sure. But they may change.
Those of you who don't.
but things can change. Things can change though as well. You start off with someone, you go, yeah, that feels good, that feels good, that feels good, and then 5 years down the track, suddenly they're not saying what they used to say. Now that happens a lot as well. 2 examples of channelers there would be Jay-Z Knight, who did Ramtha, and Barbara Masiniak, who started off with Bringers of the Dawn, fantastic material that was coming through, and then later on things started going along and going, no Pleiadian would ever say that. That's ridiculous, or this is not right, or and then the channel started complaining that somebody was sharing her material, and I'm like, no. So it's not like the whole stuff is wrong. It's just that things changed. And you don't know why. You don't know whether it's the same entity that's coming through that was giving good stuff, that knew that stuff in the beginning and is now bringing through what they really want to tell you, or if it's switched and there's somebody new in charge doing not in charge, but something different that she's channeling that's not the same as what it used to be.
And it's that there's also, we all have our own personal lens. So even if you're not channeling information from somewhere else, you're viewing information, say, as a researcher or whatever, it's everybody's lens. So that people are going to have their own lens come through. And that's a reasonable thing to think about as far as, it can be slightly different from you. But I also wanted to look at this in the difference between bumping into an energy or some information that just doesn't feel right to bumping into the cognitive dissonance wall. And I know what that feels like. I've done that a lot in my life. And we've talked about Corey Good. And you're not so...
I'm not so
sure
up with the play. I just haven't followed him enough to know what was going on. So you can explain it. You go ahead.
Well, for me, the actual first video I saw of him was being interviewed by a couple that were pretty much selling their high-frequency foods or something like that. And he was talking about how great it was and he was so much healthier. And I was like, dude, don't get him on here. Because he's not selling this for you at all, And then so when I started looking at his other stuff, and even I do get good feelings about David Wilcock, although of course he has a lens and an ego and all of that. But I think his information is good. So Corey came through him, so I was sort of willing to give him a chance. And boy, when I started looking at his stuff and all the people and the underground things and all the different races, and they're using him as a empathic, intuitive empath, and the 20 and back program where he went out 20 years and then they regress you age-wise and then wipe your memories. And I was like, dude, really? And I thought, okay, why? I looked at it. I was like, what is it that I don't like about this? And he's not a natural presenter, say like David Wilcock. He's very uncomfortable with it, didn't ever want to be in the public. So it's not like so his energy's a little flat. He's gotten better, but that's one thing I noticed. But I'm like, okay, so maybe it's that. But then I thought, okay, so the question I use is, if somebody gives me information and I bump into that, I go, okay, so if that was real, this was true, what would that mean? What does that mean about what has to shift for me? What in my worldview is different? And that was what I was bumping into with Corey. And I tried to stretch myself. It's like, I'm a groovy with ETs. I've done communication with ships. I've talked to them, things like that. So to me, that's very real. But the rest of this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, and they're taking people away as slaves on Mars, and our own governments have been trading humans and the other dark stuff that went with it. I didn't want that to be real. I did not want that to be real. And so I just went, okay, I'm going to stay with it for a while, and I'm going to look at what happens to me if I consider that this might be real and see how I feel.
You've got to be so brave to do that. You have to be very brave, and you have to build your inner strength, don't you, to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think once you've done it once, twice, 3 times, it gets a little bit easier. And the worldview that I was raised with, I wasn't raised in one of the big religions. We had sort of a new age Japanese religion where we channeled the healing energy through our hands, like Reiki, and we've talked about that before. Yeah. So, reincarnation I was born with. I didn't have any religious indoctrination, and my family never trusted government. Or medical, the doctors. My mom was a big part of the people trying to prevent them from fluoridating water in the 70s in Berkeley when we lived there. So my wall to start off with isn't that, it wasn't that high maybe, or that thick, however you want to describe it. So maybe it's a little easier to go over it. But definitely that's a thing. And when you find yourself, an example of when I said something that popped a relative of mine's, she smacked into her cog disc wall. She literally just went, "You mean that's real?" And then her face kind of went blank, and she stood up and walked out of the room and went into the other room and shut the door. And I just went, "Ooh, she hit that wall." And then being empathic, I was like, what was she feeling? And I was like, if that's real, then that means XYZ, da 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 da. And that was not somewhere she could go. So if you're willing to go, okay, if this was real, what would this mean is also real. And just be with that and just see how you can, process it. So there's two things there. There's the reading the energy, noticing how you feel if people try to get you all worked up, either positively or negatively. We're gonna kill them. Those are the bad guys. It's horrible. That's one thing. Or, whatever, build you up. The most heavenly, spiritual, special Lionsgate 888 special energies coming through, and it's going to make you into a sparkly angel fairy person. That's also, it's also out of balance.
Yeah.
So, and I've never been good with all the special words.
Special words, yeah, that's it.
Special words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But coming back to the people that are delivering it, we have to, like you said, we have to look at the content, but also look at how we judge the characters, the person that's trying to present the information. Sometimes we have an issue with the person, whether it is their tone of voice or if it is their, what they look like, or we don't like the color of their hair or whatever. But we've got to kind of listen for each of us as we look into this material, whether we're reading an article or looking at a video, listening to a podcast, is to be able to see, okay, I can see that I've got a judgment against that person because of, I don't like the color of his shirt. So can I get beyond that and just really tune into the material? Does the material feel right? Well, it's not black or white, this bit here, that feels right. That's not right. That does not feel right. That doesn't mean you totally don't trust the person, because every one of us is trying to learn more and understand more. So what I might say now, this is the way I believe it is. And then 4 months' time, I'm going, oh, I kind of understand this a whole lot more now. It's a completely different story. You've got to be able to give a little bit of flack for people that they're actually learning, or can you tune in and go, there's a totally different agenda here that is not beneficial to humanity in what they're putting out.
An example of that is Dr. Michael Sala. I think his information is good. I enjoy reading his stuff, but the way he talks just drives me nuts. It's very slow. Something about his accent just cringes on me. And he has a very slow, methodical, linear way of talking. He's very repetitive. I saw him interviewed on The Edge of Wonder, and those two guys, Ben and Rob, are those pop it back and forth, really kind of fast-moving guys. And Dr. Sala was starting about something, and they said, "Oh yeah, we know about that. We saw that. It was this." And Michael Sala paused, was like, "Yes," and then started again. And went through the whole thing they had just said really quickly, very slowly. And I was just, I'm speeding up the video, but I can't get through this fast enough. The Schumann resonance is blasting. My mind is spinning. You've got to talk faster than this.
So it's no longer a spontaneous conversation. It's like planned out that he's going to say this, no matter what the other guys say.
That doesn't mean he's faking it. Because some people just have that. That's the way their thinking process goes. My first husband was like that. Right. And if you interrupted him in the middle of a story, in any little tiny way, he would start all the way over. So I'm aware of that. And I'm wondering, well, as Saul is speaking, just reminding me of that horror show.
Maybe.
But, being aware of it is what's important. Being willing to explore. Separate out the words, so the information, from the feelings, which is what I teach in my emotional freedom program. And they say, okay, so this is the words. Does this information resonate with me? And this is how it feels when I'm engaging with this person, with this source. Does that feeling feel calm? balanced, open? Do I feel good, better afterwards? Now, that's sort of a hard one, because if you're reading or watching
horrible stuff, yeah,
difficult stuff,
it's about whether it's truth, though, right? We're finding your truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I understand.
I don't know. I hope that helps you guys to sort of look at things and understand where we're coming from, but also when you're exploring on your own, to have some tools to use for yourself, to use your intuition and develop all kinds of groovy discernment.
That's it.
We need it.
Yeah.
Going forward, it's crazy out there.
And we are doing our best in tuning into our intuition, but we can't always promise to get it right either. So don't ever trust anybody totally 100% and believe that they can be your leader in giving you the truth.
And if anybody tells you that you should,
run
away. Do not walk. Run. Shut it off. Click. Close. Whatever it is. Don't go there, man.
That's it.
Well, that's all we wanted to say. Thanks for watching.
Bye.